Oops, I don't know if you can see that, but we are smoking a bit. Well, let me tell you why. There were two things that I didn't tell you. One thing was that the oil leak was not from the gaskets around the valve cover. No, it was, but it wasn't that bad. Nor the O-ring was that bad. The main reason that this car dripped oil, and I mean dripped, you parked it and there was like this long pool of oil underneath it every day, every single day. So the main reason for that was that the oil filter was loose. So I tightened it back up and the leak stopped. And after I finished the work on this, I didn't want to drive it because look at me. Look at what I have on myself now. Look at my hands, and I'm dirty every day, so I didn't want to drive this thing that much. I wanted to have it presentable for the customer if somebody decides to come and pick it up. So I didn't want to drive it, but in my bright moment, I thought myself, well, let's drive it, let's test drive it. And I took it on the test drive. I departed through here, and I was there's the road where that tree line is. There's the road, and I departed on that road, and it's about 1.5 miles to my house. And when I was departing from here, I let it warm up. It fully warmed to the operating temperature, and I felt a little bit of oil burning off the exhaust. And I said to myself, well, that's just burning off the oil that was on the collectors on the exhaust from when I was degreasing it and all that stuff. So I wasn't really that concerned about it, but I was joking after I finished that work that it will be worse than it was, and it will puke oil all over. And I didn't believe it really, but I joked about it. And I hit that road, and I was almost home, and the oil light came on. I immediately shut the car off, and I coasted to the side of the road, and I looked underneath the engine, underneath the hood, I'm sorry. I looked in the engine bay, and the engine bay was covered, but I mean covered in oil. So I didn't know what happened. So I brought my van, I brought the tools, I started working on that on the side of the road. I took the valve cover back on, nothing leaking from there, but the oil was up to the hood. Everything in this engine bay was covered in oil. So I had to think myself, well, this is the main oil gallery that exploded somewhere, and this is very, very explosive underneath. So I grabbed the van, I grabbed my mom, and we towed it back to the shop here, and I started working on it. I put some testing oil that I have here. I put 3.5 liters of that this car holds into the engine, and as I went to crank it, it immediately puked out and 1.5 liters of oil in about 4 seconds. And now let me show you what the culprit was. So let's take a look at it. This is the oil filter from the car that was on the car, and here is the gasket that should seal the oil filter to the housing. And can you see this kink? Can you see the kink in that gasket? This gasket is rock hard. It's almost petrified, as you can see. It has less elasticity to it, almost nothing elasticity to it. And the mechanic that was working on this before me, he didn't tighten the oil filter down, and when I did that, the gasket mushroomed itself, and it blew the every oil that was in the car off through this gasket. But it didn't do that immediately. It took like 3 or 4, maybe a week to do this. So the car has now a clean oil. It has a new fresh oil and an oil filter in it. So that's something that we can provide the customer with. And also I can see there's some debris in this. Oh, whatever. And I also found the sticker from the timing belt and water pump. It was done 4,000 kilometers ago. So we checked the brakes. The brakes are fine. So I think if anybody decides to buy this car, he will get a good running machine. So this is going to be it for this little story. I wanted to show you the oil trail that was behind me. It was like a 1.5 kilometer long, 20 centimeters wide oil trail behind the car. But it's wet now and you can't see that. But if I can take a picture of that this week, I will include it in this video. But if not, you will have to believe me what I say. So thanks for watching. Be safe out there. I'm out of here. Like, share, subscribe if you like this. And I will see you when this Panda hopefully sells. Bye.